Hello guys. Today we've got another tier list. So in Builder Base 2.0, things have changed since Builder Base 1. So I have a tier list that is supposed to rank how did everything do from the original Builder Base to now. And so right here we've got all the troops and buildings, defenses basically from Builder Base, and we're going to see how they did, whether they improved, stayed the same, declined, and some stuff aren't even in the original. So, air bombs to start. Air bombs, I'm going to say stayed about the same. They still are as strong as they were in Builder Base 1. Maybe, um, well, not too much really. They're really strong against air attacks like they were. So super sneaky archers. I'm gonna say they declined because beforehand, like no matter what. Oh yeah, this is for all arenas. Like beforehand, it was absolutely possible to just um, funnel your way through um, the entire base, since the base was so large, obviously you need that sneaky archer invisibility. But now I'm not so sure you really need sneaky archers all that much anymore. I mean, the bases are so small and you only have so many sneaky archers now. So it's not really great. And so for Archer Tower, I'm going to say um I'm gonna say stayed about the same. Didn't really improve all that much, but didn't really get worse either. Baby Dragon, um, I feel like it stayed about the same. Not much really changed about Baby Dragon, aside from the sneeze, which, is okay. I feel like it is what it is. Battlecopter was not an original builder base. Ah, yes. Boxer Giant, hands down, they improved Boxer Giant, and here's why. Um, like beforehand in Builder Base 1.0, you couldn't take Boxer Giant all that much because, like, obviously everyone would just have the P.E.K.K.A. and you wouldn't, and that thing would just not have any purpose outside of early arenas. And so like it just didn't seem like a troop worth taking. But now it's the fact that it's got its own invulnerability ability. It seems like a compelling troop to take in some situations over P.E.K.K.A., which is great because that's exactly what it needed. So battle machine. This one stayed around the same, mainly because the battle machine. So I was worried about how the new battle machine was going to work, and so in Builder Base 1.0, it was strong, and like you would just be able to spam it over and over and over again, and just keep it alive. And now you can't exactly do that, but you still get rewarded for charging it up. And even so, you can spam it. It's just not going to be that rewarding. You won't get that much. Um, you won't get that much health boost again. But it is satisfying to see the battle machine chain on to buildings. So I think they did an excellent job with keeping the battle machine the way the way it is while still changing it in a way where it makes sense. And so, yeah. Bomber, I feel like the bomber I want to say, you know what? I think I want to say improved because um once again, like, because bases are smaller now, you can't take everything. Um like that just makes the bomber, especially its ability, more valuable because now you just have to break into one area, whereas you'd have to break into so many areas beforehand. Since now you can just take one bomber, and that would be it. So cannon. I also think cannon got a lot more scary in the new builder base, simply because of the fact that it's shorter range, and that seems to be very good for the cannon. Um, and so, like, there have been times where I've just been annoyed that it couldn't just get over to the cannon and fight it. And yeah, it does a really good job at defending, especially upgrading. Cannon cart. Woof. How the mighty have fallen. Oh my. Now, it was bound to regress. The original cannon cart was quite strong. I used it all the time. Because of the new 6 builder requirements, um, it was going to get worse, but I did not expect it to really hit rock bottom. Now I don't even use it. And that's saying a lot. Like, I don't even use the thing simply because it is so difficult to learn now. Uh, since you can switch mortar mode, that doesn't mean you can't use it. It's just that since you only have one and you have the ability to toggle mortar mode and ranged mode, you have to be a lot more careful with it now. And in general, it's just much harder to learn, and I just don't really use it at all now. The last time I used it was at the beginning of this update. So, you know, like, long gone are the days where you can bring so many cannon carts and have a strong offense. This I never thought I'd see the day where I can safely say that cannon cart is my least favorite troop now. It sucks. Crusher, I would say that Crusher Crusher improved mainly because you've got more. Actually, I feel like, yeah, Crusher improved from the original because when you have smaller bases, every defense matters, and um, now that you don't have as many troops, the Crusher is going to become much stronger because it can just crush any melee troops. So it's more important to take troops that aren't melee, so that way they all just don't get crushed by the Crusher. And double cannon, obviously, it still stayed a threat after the original builder base, so it stayed just as good. And the dropship definitely got better. I will say that it's not anywhere good. Actually, I don't think it's. I I feel like it did get better because of its bomb ability. Now it can explode stuff, so it becomes a lot more useful in that sense. Electrofire Wizard, not an original builder base, so no need to worry about him. Um, Air defenses, I'm gonna say they got worse. I know that seems kind of nuts, but now that you have now it's like you have to worry about so much. And with air defenses, like, they used to be one of those defenses that excelled from it being far away, but now since bases are a lot smaller, it doesn't really seem like that. Now you can just go ahead and go forward and simply destroy the air defense without it being a huge problem. It doesn't feel like as a threat anymore. Uh, the the roaster, um, it stayed as good as it was. The roaster was a problem in original builder base, and it still stays a problem afterward. And the giant cannon, um, I'm gonna say it got better, mainly because it can just turn around everywhere, um, and it can really uh, knock a lot of troops back since you don't have that many troops now. Um, and like that becomes a much bigger deal. Guard post really didn't get too much better, nor did it get too much worse. Um, so I feel like it stayed just as good as it was. Hog Glider got worse, and that's unfortunate. But to be fair, Hog Glider was like super strong in the original builder base because a max Hog Glider, full on Hog Glider attack would just take down an entire almost max base. Now it doesn't seem like that way at all. Um, I don't even bring it. I would rather bring stuff like Electrofire Wizard and P.E.K.K.A because um, that's not to say it's a terrible troop. It's a good troop. I feel like there are ways to handle it better. There are ways to use it well. But it's not like you can put all of them down and completely destroy bases without an issue. So it takes a lot more skill, which is much harder to learn and also got worse from the original. Lava Launcher. Yep, this got worse by far. Once again, just like the fire, the air defense, whatever it's called, yeah, air defense. It excelled well from being very far away, and now it doesn't feel like it's super far away anymore. So it's just not like back in Builder Base 1.0. If you had this thing, you would have like a huge advantage, but now it doesn't feel that way now anymore. Like since you're a lot closer to it, it will be a matter of time before it can't target onto your troops. They're just too close to it. And so now you have to get very creative with the thing. And so, yeah, Megamind. When it comes to Megamind, it would be up here when it comes to defending ground troops, or actually it'd be up here when it's defending air troops, because before Builder Base 2, setting it on air mode was not even a possibility because it would just delay the attack. But now with the Night Witch ability, the dropship getting better, and the battlecopter, it's now definite, and with limited buildings as well and traps, you might consider setting it to air mode for sure. And however, because you're more likely to set it from air mode, it would be down here at defending ground attacks, because now you've got air attacks to worry about, and if you set it to ground, well, all your defense is ground, then you're at risk for air attacks, and vice versa. So they both cancel each other out, which means it stayed about the same. You just have to evolve it in a new way. Mega Tesla, absolutely got better for sure, simply because it's a lot, since it relies on the troops being close together, which is much more bound to happen with two bases that are much smaller. And then same story as the Mega Mine. The mine just stayed about the same. You just have to evolve it depending on which situation you have. The minion. What do I think about the minion? Uh, it didn't really get better. Did it get worse? I think, yeah, it got worse. Mainly because when it comes to minions, usually they're very good cleanup. Um, but once again, and very good for funneling. But once again, how often is that the situation when everything is super close together and you're struggling to funnel? Um, the only time that I would use these minions is to set off air, air mines, which does happen, but it's not really worth taking this troop over, let's just say, a supporting troop. And the multi mortar, it's still it stayed about as good as it was, um, mainly because it was mid range and it still is a threat, and it originally was a threat for sure. Still, Night Witch. Bravo to the Supercell team, because Night Witch has gotten so much better. Night Witch has become like one of my favorite supporting troops now. It's honestly taken the place of Cannon Cart, where I can use it for its bats and even use its ability, save its ability for the second step, the second base. What makes the Night Witch super great in this mode is the fact that since it's a lot smaller, um, with a more condensed base, with less traps and less everything, you can like spawn more bats, hold on to their abilities if possible, and then use them in the second um the second base in order to take down the whole thing. And so like, what made Night Witch tough to use in Builder Base 1.0 is the fact that there were just so many defenses there that it just made it impossible to get value for all the bats. So honestly, I am surprised by Night Witch. It's just gotten so much better. Uh, Auto Hut, not in the original. Power P.E.K.K.A. It still stayed about as good as it did in Builder Base 1.0. I still love it, and I always have. The push trap, I would say it stayed the same as well. Like, yeah, I feel like it's like the thing is, like, usually like with the push trap, obviously you have all these defenses there to continue attacking by pushing them back uh out of a wall, so they have to go through the base again, which is what the push trap is used for, is to waste time. And it still does that. However, you have less troops as well, so it sort of doesn't like, you would think it got worse, but since you have less troops, it didn't really get that much worse. And Raged Barbarian also stayed around the same, because unlike the Sneaky Archer, the Rage isn't really that big of a need for the Barbarian. It's usually just used to set off traps. And the Rage at the beginning is for like to really just funnel quickly. Um, there's not much to it. It's still just as good as it was originally. Spring traps, they got worse. And unfortunately, it's because like um, now they've just been more avoidable. Um, like there's not much you can use them for. Like back then, you could put all your spring traps to protect so many stuff, like protect your multi-mortar uh, roaster, even your crusher. But now that you don't have as much, it doesn't really seem that valuable. And oftentimes, you'd want to use a barbarian, or you want to um, use like either the battle machine or flying copter to clear out an area that's likely trapped of spring traps anyway. So, that's really what I have to say. Tesla stayed about as good as it originally was. Not much has changed with the Tesla. It's just that now that you have several and you can split them in bases, um, you would think it got better because Builder Base 1.0 had a lot more of them, a lot more firing, but it didn't really. It's basically just like if you, instead of having all of them defend a ton of troops, you have half of them defending not as many troops. And so, for the walls, I'd say they got worse because back then with walls, like, uh, what made walls very valuable in Builder Base 1.0 is the fact that you can waste so much time with them if you put them in areas where it's like hard to break through, or like you put a lot of them there and you'd have to like um, find your way through like some compartments or something. You can create whole types of compartments. But now with a smaller base, of course, no, you don't need to break through as many walls, which makes the ability to burn time with a bunch of walls a lot worse, a lot more pointless. Think about how in the early stages of Clash of Clans, like there you don't get as many walls, and oftentimes people would put like huts in the corners to waste time because the walls just couldn't do it. Well, now that's the case. Um, and then Expo was not really original in Builder Base. So there you have it. So these are all the things that um, that are in Builder Base, how they fared out. And so currently there's four things that weren't in Builder Base 2.0. Not 2.0, 1.0. So these were not introduced beforehand. And so surprisingly, um, the all the stuff that improved and all the stuff that declined are exactly equal. So, you know, 8 stuff got worse and 8 stuff got better. And then you have like 14 things that stayed about the same. So, because this is so evenly split, it's very clear that overall Builder Base 2.0 stayed the same in terms of buildings, in terms of offense and defense. It's not true when it comes to other aspects, but when it comes to defensive buildings and troops, uh, you'd still have success with them and as much fun as you did in Builder Base 1.0. overall. So I feel like Builder Base 2.0 was a good update. They did a good job with making sure that it had something new to it while still being definitively Builder Base. So yeah, that's what I have to say. This is my tier list, and this is the Idea Kid. See you in the next video. Goodbye.